All right, welcome into the latest edition of the Walkout, presented by Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati. Paul Ahner Jr., Jay Morrison here with you on a day the Cincinnati Bengals win 31-27. But the Bengals are 2-0, Jay, and everyone's excited about 2-0. The fast start thing has finally happened, but then everyone's also sad because of one man's toe. What's your song, Jay?
Okay, so this is a song. There's three versions of this song. I'm not going to go with Gene Autry. I'm not going to go with Aerosmith. I'm going to go with the most recent one. It's Back in the Saddle Again, because that's what Jake Browning is. And here's the line that really fits with him. I've been waiting in the wings like a dog on a chain. I can feel this fire building up, a little wild in it. Went and checked the wire. Sure enough, there's live in it. Try to stop it, but I can't. It's calling my name.
This show is calling your name too. Let's hit it.
It's the Walkout with Paul and Jay, with red hot stories from post game, interviews, analysis, debate the hour, right here at the Growler.
All right, welcome into the Growler. We got a bunch of stuff we want to get to here in the Walkout today. We're gonna talk all about. We're gonna put it all on the table. Everything we know about Joe Burrow's toe. Okay, where it stands today as we record at 6 o'clock here on Sunday afternoon. Obviously, a developing situation as we try to get to the bottom of the Joe Burrow injury. We're going to get to that. You're going to hear from Ted Karras and some others in the locker room about that. We're going to talk a little bit about this game. Jake Browning back and what we saw from him. We're going to talk a little bit about the resilience of this team that is sitting here at 2-0, kind of against the odds for a couple of weeks in a row. There's no doubt about it, doing things that they did not do in previous seasons. And in fact, players talking about this is things that they did not do last year. So getting that, you're going to hear from Zach Taylor. You're going to hear from Jake Browning. We're going to get you a couple other injury updates and a quick look ahead to next week. A lot to get to. Before we do, though, Growl Pals, listen up. I know you're tired of the dealership runaround this season. Do yourself a favor. Head over to see my guy, Growl Pal Kevin, and his team over at Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati. At Joseph Toyota, the playbook's simple, upfront, honest, and transparent. You know what that is. That is just like the Walkout. It's what we do. You get clear pricing from the start, real numbers on your trade, and a team that actually listens to what you need, not just what they want to sell you. So if you're hunting for a tough Tacoma, a reliable RAV4, or a fully loaded Tundra, Joseph Toyota has a massive selection of new and pre-owned vehicles, all backed by a level of service that always starts 2-0. Joseph Toyota Cincinnati has rates as low as 1.75% for well-qualified buyers on qualifying vehicles right now. So if you're ready for a car buying experience that's smoother than T. Higgins breaking 2 tackles and strutting into the end zone, head to Joseph Toyota Cincinnati on Colerain. Online anytime, josephtoyota.com. You can always call my buddy and Growl Pal Kevin, 513-385-1800. Joseph Toyota, the team that puts honesty in the driver's seat. All right, let's be honest, Jay, about Joe Burrow's toe. Here's what we know. Joe goes off, obviously, in the second quarter. He tries to stand, goes down, eventually tries to get back up, and walks gingerly over to the sideline to the blue tent. It did not look good. He was in the blue tent for a while, hangs out in there, eventually goes to the locker room. And I think one of the scarier moments of all of this is when he was going to the locker room, Jay, and he's about halfway down the sidelines and realizes I can't make it by myself, and goes arms around both of the trainers that were walking with him and kind of gets carried, helped back into the locker room there. He's in there. We have reports of him getting an MRI in there. And so that's where that stands. Post-game locker room, Joe Burrow comes in, walking boot, and also has had a single crutch. There was another crutch over at his locker, but he was walking through with the boot and one crutch, not super happy about the situation, as you might imagine. Nothing about it looked good, Jay.
Or sounded good. Nobody said, Zach said he didn't know the game was so tight, so intense, he didn't have a chance to check in on with the medical staff. But just reading into what you heard from the players, particularly the offensive linemen, it was loud in there. They were playing music. They were pumping. They were pumped up about the win. that corner of the locker room, the offensive lineman, it was morose. And you just get the sense that either they know and they're not saying, or they're assuming that it is not good. It just had that feel over there in that corner, which is right next to where Joe Burrow's locker is.
Yeah, anybody that it seemed like would know did not seem to be in a great mood.
Mm-hmm.
And you even got a little bit of that you got from Jake Browning. From Jamar Chase was very short for a guy who had checks notes 14 receptions for 165 yards and a touchdown. Okay. So in talking to people that I go to for this type of injury stuff, and again, the word was that they felt like it was pretty clear that if you're judging by what you were seeing on the video and the way that looks like a clear classic turf toe situation, which can go a lot of different ways. Brock Purdy has this right now. Brock Purdy going through a very similar situation. They kind of have him at a 3 to 5 weeks timeline, but it depends on severity. And again, this is where we don't know. We don't know specifically what it is. It can be as serious as you need surgery if the thing is just totally ruptured, right? In terms of whether we're talking about with the piece. I don't want to use the technical terms because I'll butcher them. So I'm not going to try to pretend to be a doctor. I'm just reiterating you what I've been told. Basically, surgery is the worst case type of scenario. There are times that guys can play through it if it's mild. Patrick Mahomes did this a couple of years ago, playing through this type of injury. You're hampered. It's not great, but you can. We don't know the severity, obviously, of where this stands. That's what we'll learn going forward. But, the tape makes it look like it's going to be a turf toe type situation. You just hope it's not the more severe case, and you just kind of see how it goes as time goes by.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason that the O linemen were so down. Part of it is knowing that Joe likely is going to miss time, you would assume. The other part of it is it happened on a sack. It's on their watch. And they never feel good about that, about him getting hit and he gets injured on a play where they didn't protect him, and they didn't protect him a lot while he was in there. Ted Karras, we'll hear from him in a little bit, referenced how horrible they were in the first half multiple times.
Let's play that Karras audio. You can hear from him right now.
Chaotic when you lose your starting quarterback. How much did you rely on what you saw from Jake in 2023 when he comes in?
I mean, Jake's one of my best friends, so we have an amazing relationship. Obviously, we have awesome depth on this team. Really, never want to have to use it, but, came in and won another ball game for us.
You're sitting at 2-0. I know, guys are still waiting results from Joe, but how confident are you that you feel like this team can keep the momentum going if, in fact, you do have to have Jake Browning for a couple weeks?
Very confident. I know I wish I was more excited, but, that cast kind of like a touch of gray on the day. So we'll wait to see with that and, get ready to go. We got to go 3-0 now.
As an offensive lineman, how tough is it when your quarterback gets knocked out of the game like that?
Well, it's the worst. It's the worst possible scenario. So, we have to go look at ourselves. I'm gonna go look at the film. I don't know what happened. I can't analyze it for you. I know it was a crazy looks day, and for the most part we responded. But I thought the first half was horrible. So we came out, readjusted, and won the ball game.
There's Ted Karras talking. You're right. You can hear it in his voice, and we'll see. Again, the key to this is we have ideas based on what we've seen, people we've talked to, what we've seen inside of the locker room and thus far. And the people I talked to said it looks very clear from the video that it seems like a turf toe situation, just based on the way that he hyperextended it, trying to plant and probably lunge forward off of that. But again, the details on that will evolve and come out tonight, tomorrow. Keep locked to us on that. We'll be getting to you the updates when we can get more specifics from the team and from the teams and Joe's side. So keep an eye out for that. And that's kind of the basics. It's kind of laying out everything that we kind of are hearing and what we know about Joe Burrow's injury right now. It was unfortunate. I had the Burrow bounce back boost at our live show at BetMGM and Tom's Watch Bar today, and it never came to fruition. I apologize. I did not know there was going to be a toe injury and then he wouldn't get out there. But we had a great time anyway. Yeah. Shout out to our friend. We had gave away tickets to the Lions Bengals game with the most epic game of Jenga of all time. It just kept going and going and going as they played an intense game of Jenga for the Bengals Lions tickets. Thanks to everybody that came out and filled BetMGM and Tops Watch Bar. You guys are the best. So much fun down at that show. Lots of giveaways. We had a Graders Worthy giveaway. The shipper pack is going to be going out to somebody. So great time down there. Shout out to everybody that came down. Next live show for us is going to be before that Lions game. So that's a late window kick. So we'll start about noon over there at BetMGM and Tom's Watch Bar. We hope to see you there at that one. We'll be giving away tickets to the Steelers Thursday night game at that one.
Maybe eventually someone can stump me. They couldn't again today. I was getting them, and even if you don't stump me, you still get to spin the wheel for tickets. But it's more fun if you try to stump me, and nobody could.
They tried. One guy didn't even get the question finished, and you fired off a Riley Reef on him. We never even heard the conclusion of the question. You were too on it.
I didn't need it.
Thanks again to everybody that came out. Great time. Let's talk about this game. Let's talk about Jake Browning and, Jacksonville, of course, right? I mean, it was on Monday Night Football back in 2023. The Jags are going to be like, no, anybody but Browning, please, who's managed to stick it to them twice. Say what you want about Jake Browning. It wasn't clean. It wasn't great. The man threw 3 interceptions. But when he got the ball at his own 8 and needing a drive to go win the game, he does it. He takes them the length of the field. He distributes all over the place. Unbelievable conclusion and performance from Jake Browning to leave the mess that didn't go right in this game behind and find a way to usher in a win. I mean, the Bengals were not exactly moving the ball at will when Burrow was in the game, and they go out and they score 31 points with Jake Browning at the helm. Just an incredible performance from him in that regard.
A lot of talk in this offseason about, is Joe Burrow the best quarterback in the league? He's in tier 1, and you can make that argument, him and Mahomes, Josh Allen. Are Jamar Chase and T. Higgins the best wide receiver duo in this league? This conversation's there, and it might be the most slam dunk of all. Is Jake Browning the best backup quarterback in this league? Because when Burrow got hurt, you remember in the past, and it just felt like, oh, season could be over. And then we saw what he did in 2023, what Jake Browning did. And even though things weren't going well, it felt like they've got a chance in this game. And Jake Browning comes in on 3rd and 25. It's just the worst possible situation to come in. And you're right, he threw the 3 interceptions. Zach said 1 wasn't on him. I think Yoshi quit on that route, and that ended up being the interception on the first one. But I would assume the players felt the same, that maybe the fans felt that this isn't over with Joe out. It's not ideal. It's not what you want, but there's still a chance to win this game, and Browning delivered.
He did. And the other thing is, the reason that they never questioned Jake was he has such a calm demeanor. When you're the backup and everyone's freaking out around you, you've got to have the trust of your teammates, confidence you can go do it, and the calmness to have everybody believe you and follow you in there. And he had that and went out there and made plays. And yeah, that's partially because of what he's done in the past, but a lot of guys out there haven't been there. I want to kind of detail a little bit of that final drive, and it's got to be our Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati drive of the game. And they start on their own 8. First of all, Leon Cohen goes for it, and which is wild to me. I get it. He's trying to just finish them off for good, feeling if he gets it in there, the game is totally over. And what are the odds they'll go the whole length of the field? But you open up the opportunity of Evan to tie it, send it to overtime. That decision, though, backfires. So the Bengals take over after he had just thrown his 3rd interception. And he goes 9 of 12 for 65 yards on that drive. He has the 1-yard dive, essentially the reach over the top for the touchdown. He hits 5 different receivers, plus a sixth on the DPI to Yoshi. And it was critical play after critical play. And this from a guy who had just thrown 3 interceptions. The fact that he was able to summon that was incredible. Here is Jake Browning on the mentality you have to go pull off that drive.
I mean, you should be delusional. I think I'd thrown 3 picks, and it was like somehow we still have a chance to win the game. And so, can't be. It sounds bad, but you can't be afraid of the 4th in that situation because you got a chance to win it. Defense did a good job of forcing the turnover on downs, and I think, like I said, just being a little delusional and just keep being aggressive because the moment calls for it.
You got to be a little delusional. You can't be afraid of the 4th. And that's kind of his attitude. Like he's always been an uber confident guy. We've seen that in every opportunity he's been out there. And he's, you know what? He had some where it's like, dude, you got to throw the ball away. You can't just launch it out to the other team. You've got to see these, and that's part of the difference, the drop off that you're going to have. But the ability for the team to go out there and believe in him and do what he did speaks about why, if this is however extended this Joe Burrow period is, you have Jake Browning. When Des Ridder came in, everyone's like, oh, what does this mean? Is there a competition? They never has it. It was never the thought of a competition once because they knew what they had in Jake Browning in terms of his ability in this type of a moment to go out there and stay calm and execute a tough spot. And so can he keep you afloat for an extended period of time, whether it's a month, maybe it's more, maybe it's less, whatever that is? Can he keep you afloat? I think what he did today is a reminder that, Jake Browning can keep you afloat. He's not going to go out there and win you games all the time, but he can keep you going and hold down the ship until Joe comes back, under the assumption that he comes back in a reasonable amount of time.
And if you go back and watch that drive, that it wasn't just lip service where he said you can't be afraid to throw a 4th. I mean, some of those throws they looked like they could have been a 4th. They weren't guys that were wide open. He was fitting that ball into either tight windows or just good coverage and got to have it throws. And he made the plays. And they got maybe a little lucky on the DPI. It wasn't an obvious call, but the Bengals had a couple calls go against them in that regard. So it was just one of the more impressive drives. I'll have to look this up. When's the last time a team went 92 yards, 15 plays for a game-winning drive and cashed it in the final minute of the game? You just don't see that very often, and you sure don't see it from backup quarterbacks.
No, an unbelievable run. And then before that, he sees his opportunities. He gives his guys a chance. They try to blitz him on a 3rd down, and he makes them pay. He sees it. He gets the ball out quick to T. Higgins, over the top, breaks a couple of tackles, and he's into the end zone for a critical touchdown. They had a run-pass option called down near the goal line, and Zach Taylor said after the game, it's one that is almost always a run. You don't see it checked to a pass very often, but he sees Mitch Tinsley, his guy. He says, good things happen when I just throw it up to Mitch, right? And that's true. Mitch Tinsley goes up. What one hell of a first career reception for Mitch Tinsley in a game. He goes up and gets a wild one-hander over there on the sideline, brings it down. But it's true. It's more of what you've seen from Mitch in the preseason and that connection that he's had with Jake going all the way back to OTAs. I mean, they've done a lot of work together. Jake looks out there and says, there's my guy Mitch one-on-one. I'm not handing this thing off. I'm going to go throw a tutty. And good for him because Mitch made him look good.
Yeah, and Jake talked about that. As someone who's lived the P squad grind, he really appreciates what he's seen from Mitch and the way he's earned every rep that he's gotten. And there is a real connection. You see that all the time when backup quarterbacks come in and they don't always throw to the top guys. It's the guys they're used to throwing to on the practice squad or the scout team or whatever it might be. And it was what a way. Your first career catch is a one-handed touchdown. I don't know that too many people can say that.
Yeah, unbelievable moment for him. Jake Browning, he finishes 21 of 32 for 241 with 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. My God. Trevor Lawrence is 24 of 42 for 271, 3 touchdowns and 2 picks, and could have been a 3rd pick. I mean, just a wild game where, the Jaguars, boy, they've got to come out of here saying, how do we lose this game? The same way the Browns did last week. And I want to touch on that topic next. Resilient team, the Bengals finding a way here. There's no doubt about it. They go out there when not anything's going their way in the first half. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, the first 3 drives, outside of one Trey Hendrickson pressure that made Trevor Lawrence make a terrible decision, throwing the ball that Dax Hill intercepts in the end zone. I mean, they just moved at will. They had 208 yards on their first 3 drives. There was no resistance happening. The Jags could have put this game away early. But what happens? Trevor Lawrence happens. This is what Trevor Lawrence does. He makes so many throws that make you say, wow, this guy's the dude. But he just makes these decisions that just kill you. And he had a couple of those today that changed the entire dynamic of this game, specifically that one early on when the Jags were just handing it to the Bengals early on.
Trey Hendrickson. I mean, the pressure there to force him to throw that early – the pass, it was an easy pick for Dax Hill, and you're right, they were just running right through him, and then it's like a switch flip for the Bengals defense, and that was 208 yards in the first 3 drives. It was 64 yards on the next 4 drives. They found a little something, and it's not. We talked about this a lot. It's not going to look great right off the bat with Al's defense, but when you see that, just like Cleveland last week, give up a touchdown on the opening drive, but find a way to make plays and get turnovers and keep the team in the game. You can get through this first month and a half of the season doing that, and then you feel really good about that group coming together.
Let's hear from Zach Taylor and kind of his thought on how this team feels right now after going out there and going 2-0 in the way that it did.
I couldn't be proud of our group. They just looked each other in the eye in the second half and said, we're going to figure out a way to win this game, and that's exactly what they did, and I'm really proud of them. I couldn't be happier that we were in this position in week 2, so we'll find out what our team's made of. So early in the season, we can go ahead and figure out how this team's going to handle some adversity, and I saw that in spades today.
Zach Taylor there talking about just the way this team won. And he said at one point, it just felt like this is the way this season's going to be. This is the kind of team that we're going to have, the way that we're going to play. They're going to be resilient. They're going to have to be resilient. You're going to have to find ways to win, and are learning that this is kind of the way that it is. And I go to Logan Wilson was talking after the game, and he said, this is such a resilient team win. This was nothing like last year. These were the games they couldn't find. They would find ways to lose last year. They could never find the way to win. It's Jacksonville. It's Cleveland. I don't know how good either of those teams are going to be. Cleveland got waxed by Baltimore today, whatever. I don't know. But I do think there's something to teams that early in seasons find ways and build up that belief they will always come back. They will always find a way no matter how bad it goes. That's a powerful thing that last year's team did not have. Last year's team had the defeatist team that finds a way to lose. We see this happen all the time with teams that kind of either come out of nowhere or go above expectations, whatever. Usually there's some magic early in the season that makes them believers that they'll be able to go out there and come back, because so many of these games, that's what happens. That's what the NFL is anymore. And so that can be really powerful. This 2-0 could be very powerful. Obviously, a lot is riding on whatever's happening with Joe Burrow's toe right now. But there can be something to the way that they've won, even though it's felt like they partially didn't totally deserve and could very easily be 0-2.
Joe Burrow's averaging 93 passing yards per game, and you're 2-0. I mean, you'll take that. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. Yeah, the injury played a role in that with him going out in the middle of the second quarter. But if you heard that before the season started, you would think 0-2 was a lock, and it hasn't.
I would think, what the hell is going on? I mean, is everybody okay? And they're not. No, they're not. Not everybody is okay right now. There's a lot of other things you can get into right now. It just feels like everybody kind of immediately turns to what's next. How long are they going to be without Burrow? And again, keep it locked to us. We'll get more to that. As far as other injury updates and things from this, Shamar Stewart went out, saw him with crutches after the game. Didn't look super with him, but we'll learn more about his injury, whatever that is. Amarius Mims He went out. You talked to him, Marius, didn't you, Jay?
Yeah, he went to the locker room real briefly and then came back, and he went right back to and sat down on the sideline with the rest of the starters. I thought he might have gone in for an IV. It was so hot, and he said no, he got his ankle checked. If you remember, he was limited early in the week with an ankle injury, so he just went in, got it checked. It was fine. Came back, finished the game. He said he's fine moving forward.
Yeah, same ankle, so he's out kind of playing through it. It's one that had him on the limited during both practices this week, so he'll keep playing through that. And anything else, we'll update you as we go. Next game is in Minnesota, because of course it is. It's Jake Browning. I mean, ever since you never should have effing cut me was the line when they found a way to beat Minnesota here. And now he goes Jacksonville, where he had the Monday Night Football win, and now potentially against Minnesota. Again, we'll see if it is Jake. But if it is, it's just seems kind of fitting there. But it will only get harder. I mean, you got at Minnesota, which is not easy on anybody. Brian Flores doing all that he can to confuse you and everything else. And then Denver, maybe the best defense in football, arguably, certainly in the top 5, right up there on Monday Night Football in Denver. The next 2 weeks are not going to be easy on any offense. So if the Bengals have to go do it without Joe Burrow, it will be one hell of a challenge for Jake Browning. But any bigger of a challenge than having to go 92 yards with only a couple minutes left and you just threw your third pick, which, by the way, if you ever want to go back and listen to all of Jake Browning's press conference today, can we count up how many times he said third pick? It was like it was his way of kind of pointing out how ridiculous it is that he'd thrown 3 interceptions and his ability to flush that. A lot of third picks. Need to count on that, Jay. That's your next stat. Did we get to all your stats?
I have a stat. So
yeah, let's go.
No, we didn't. I got 2, and it's funny because they deal with Minnesota and Jacksonville. But so Jake Browning, the last non-starting quarterback to enter the game with his team trailing, throw 3 interceptions, and still win the game, was Tavares Jackson of the Minnesota Vikings in 2010. And Brett Favre threw 1 pass, got knocked out of the game. Tavares came in down 7-0. They waxed Buffalo 38-14. Not near as dramatic as this one. This one's amazing. Since 2000, Browning became the 6th quarterback to have a 1-yard touchdown run that turned a deficit into the lead in the final minute of the game. 6 since 2000. Okay, that's kind of wild. The wild part of this, 4 of those 6 games were against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh my God!
The last quarterback to do it was Ben Roethlisberger in 2018, beating the Jaguars. Jameis Winston did it in 2015, beat the Cowboys. Peyton Manning did it in 2006, beat the Jets. But David Carr did it in 2003 against the Jaguars, and Steve McNair did it in 2001 against the Jaguars. 4 of the 6 have come against the poor Jags.
The Jaguars hate the sneak, and they hate Jake Browning. There's no doubt about it. Florida man, not Jake Browning man, without question. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening and for watching. Make sure you check the Rewatch show going live on the YouTube channel tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We'll have plenty of breaking down plays for you from everything that Charlie and I do when we hit the all 22 in the morning. So thanks, everybody, for listening and for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.